Your mental health exists just like a bike, in the sense that there are some things a bike definitely needs in order to function, but there are some things it doesn't necessarily need, but if it doesn't have, it won't function as well. So why does this all matter? It's because if you understand the fundamentals of your mental health, you can instantly improve it. So for the next few minutes, we're going to outline this framework of the bike, and then we're going to finalize this short video by covering one technique you can instantly use to drastically improve your mental health. First up, we have the wheels. If you have no wheels on a bike, you have no movement. So too, if you don't have adequate hydration and nutrition governing your mental health, you have no movement in your life. Thirdly, we have the frame of the bike. If you have no frame, you have no bike. If you have no sleep, there is no you. Next up on the bike, we have the chain. If you don't have a chain on a bike, you can still use it, but it just means that you're coasting and you cannot gather the momentum that you want. So too, if you don't have adequate routine in your life, then you're just coasting throughout your days. We all have an inner psychological need for consistency, predictability, and a schedule we can stick to. Third to last on the bike of life, we have the seat. You can use a bike without a seat if you're into that kind of thing, no judgment here, but it's going to be a very uncomfortable journey. So too, your journey throughout life will be very uncomfortable without social connection. Second to last, we have the pedals. Without pedals on a bike, again, you can still use the bike, but you're not going to be able to gather as much momentum and energy as you want to in your journey. So this, in terms of your mental health, is your exercise. No exercise, no energy. And finally, we have the handlebars. Again, you can use a bike without handlebars, but it just means you're not going to be able to direct your journey as you so please. So this, in terms of your mental health, is your feeling of purpose in life. Now that is the bike of life and the 7 most important fundamentals of your mental health. Now before we cover some additional ideas you guys brilliantly had as to other things we could add onto this bike, we're just going to go around and for each element we're going to cover some principles that you can use to optimize this area, because I believe principles are the most effective and practical way to learn. Up first we have hydration. Very simply, drink 1 litre of water a day. Sleep. Follow the 3-2-1 rule. Stop eating 3 hours before bed, stop drinking 2 hours before bed, and turn all lights and screens off 1 hour before bed. Routine. As the author James Clear of Atomic Habits says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. The one thing I would say about routine is don't look at it as some laborious, boring process, because routine done long enough, done sincerely enough, becomes ritual. Nutrition. If it didn't exist 100 years ago, don't eat it. Fairly simple, that one. Your purpose. The easiest way to discover your purpose in life is to answer this question. What problem do I want to solve? You can extrapolate that and think about what problem you want to solve in the world at large or in your personal life at the moment. Exercise. We've got 3. If it tires your body but puts your heart at ease, do it. When nothing is going right, go train. And lastly, in order to have peace of mind, you have to have peace of body first, from Naval Ravikant. And lastly, social connection. As the Italians say, chi mangia solo crepa solo. Who eats alone, dies alone. And finally, solitude is a great place to visit, but a terrible place to stay. And maybe a bonus one, splendid chambers mean nothing when devoid of friendly company, as Alexander Pushkin said. So now let's cover the honourable mentions from you guys, because I posted this in a community post the other day and asked if you guys had any things you would add to this framework, and here were your ideas. From the YouTube account The Autistic Spectrum, that's not an insult, that is genuinely your name on your YouTube account, I couldn't find your real name. You said we could add colourful tassels to our bike to represent our confidence, which is an absolutely brilliant idea. This was just a random idea. The mud guards on the bike could be our communication skills to get rid of all the dirt and the waffle and the miscommunication. And then Stephen Cunliffe suggested we put brakes on the bike to represent our ability to rest and slow down. Love that. Ben Everett suggested that we put a bell on the bike, and this would represent our assertiveness and our authentic voice. Great idea. We could put lights on the bike to signal our attention, because where our attention goes, energy flows. And then 2 more. Giulio Lele suggested, that is genuinely his name, forgive my pronunciation, suggested that the gears on the bike could be our ability to reframe our experiences through our storytelling. Great idea. And finally, one more that I just thought of is the environment in which we keep the bike in and our mental health. Because there's an old saying that when a flower fails to bloom, you don't change the flower, you change the environment. And finally, if you are so inclined, you could add one more layer outside of the bike, which is your spirituality. But I'll leave that up to you. Let me know in the comments if there's anything you feel was missed out or that you would like to add before we move on. Moment of silence for the bike. Okay, now let's finalise with the one technique you can use to drastically improve your mental health. I learned this exercise about 3 years ago when I listened to a podcast with the relationships expert Matthew Hussey talk about how he manages his mental health, and it is called the button technique. Improving your mental health largely involves returning to psychological states you experienced in the past that you liked. So this exercise helps us build a portfolio of these psychological buttons that we can press at any given moment to return us to these desired states. So what you do is, over the next 2 weeks, you carry around with yourself these little flashcards and a pen, and you observe yourself, and you pay attention to those moments where you feel particularly happy, aligned, directional, sane, clear. And in those moments when you're experiencing mental flourishing, you capture the moment by jotting down your answer to these questions on your cards. Where am I? What happened? And how do I feel? I'll give you an example, which could be a very bad idea. Okay, this is one I did about 2 years ago. What happened? I got out of bed, shaved, walked, and spoke out loud to myself, came back, all wearing a crispy white t-shirt, journaled and wrote down a plan for the day with new decisions made and forward momentum chosen. Where was I? In the woods, in my room, and in the shower. How did I feel? Calm, clear, energized, and directional. So the idea is, over time, you build up your psychological reference points for actions you need to take in order to feel a certain way. And bonus points if you read these every morning, so you have an outline as to how you can spiral upwards. Other ones are much more simpler than that. Where am I? In the kitchen. What happened? I made a nutritious lunch, drank water and had a high protein smoothie. How did I feel? Nourished, proud, clear, calm and energized. Now, one objection you might have to these is, but Lewis, I'm feeling particularly down at the moment and I'm in a bit of a rut, so there's not going to be a lot of positive things for me to capture. Muchacho, I'm going to challenge you a bit on this one. There will be enough positive things for you to capture if you just open your mind to the possibility of capturing them. It doesn't matter whether it's a second-long glimpse throughout the day of psychological flourishing. Capture that moment, no matter how insignificant it seems. In your observations of yourself, treat yourself like a stranger that you are responsible for helping and that you have the best interests of. Also, it's great to do this in reverse as well, where you build up your portfolio of buttons you don't want to press. I've got plenty of these. Yeah, put them in red. Whoa! But the framework for the buttons you want to avoid is a little bit different. When capturing your red buttons, those moments when you feel you're psychologically spiraling downwards, capture where was I? What happened? How did I feel? With 2 extra elements. Did I help deal with the discomfort I felt when reflecting on what happened and the actions you took in that scenario? And then, to spur you in a positive direction going forward, use the WID principle. What would I have done differently? I'll give you an example. This was 2 years ago. Oh dear. Where was I? In my bed. What did I do? I overslept, got my laptop out straight away and watched YouTube for 2 hours. Brilliant. Well done, Lewis. How did I feel? Wasteful, spent, drained, irritated, cloudy, remorseful, wasted, hostile and brain fog. Quite the cocktail there. Did I help deal with the discomfort I felt? Of course not. It resulted in my mental health worsening. But for my WID, I would have time boxed a schedule for the day. Good idea, Lewis. Set a 10-minute timer and said, not yet, when I felt the urge to scroll YouTube. And at the end of the timer, I would have drank 1 bottle of water, done 15 press-ups, and then had a cold shower. Not bad. I cannot vouch for this technique enough. I've used it over the last 3 years, and I would single-handedly attribute it to the improvements in my mental health. So, Hopefully you learned some things from today's video. Stay disciplined, playful and dangerous. I won't take up too much more of your time. Adios muchachos y muchachas.